Please welcome SAS Senior Vice President of Platform Engineering, Jared Peterson.
Awesome. Here we go. So it is, great. It is awesome to be with you all this afternoon at this incredible event. This really is a lot of fun for me. We've worked with SingleStore for many years now. And also, this is just, in my opinion, one of the best times of the year to be in the city. You might think I'm saying that purely because of the weather. The weather has been amazing, and you wouldn't be wrong. I do live in North Carolina, where it can often be hotter than an AI stock after an earnings call. I hoped that would get some laughs. We're at NASDAQ. I mean, come on. But there's something about fall and just being in the city. You've got the cool air. The leaves are starting to change in Central Park. And even the buildings, see the architecture there, even the buildings start to show off just a little bit. And if you've spent any time this week, as you've been here in the city and you've walked by maybe the Chrysler building or the Flatiron, or maybe that state-of-the-art glass tower that if you're afraid of heights should not be on your to-do list. But if you've done any of these things and kind of walked the city and seen the buildings, you've felt it. The architecture in this city is more than just functional. It's aspirational. It makes a statement. And I know, trust me, I know I'm actually here to talk about AI, not about architecture. But lately I have been thinking about about how the two are related. Architects, they start with a vision. And every design choice that they make starts to lead to something bigger. And eventually, the structure just becomes something great that serves a purpose. And that purpose can even evolve over time, right? I mean, you've got, warehouses that get converted into fancy, shiny new apartments. I mean, who am I to judge? But at the end of the day, it all comes down to humans making decisions. Humans making decisions about the way that we live, the ways that we work, and the ways that we connect with each other. Buildings don't just build themselves, at least not yet anyway. And AI didn't just come out of the ether today to start writing some code for you or building your next grocery list. Yes, AI is an incredible tool. And I will say unequivocally, if your organization expects to remain competitive today and into the future, and you are not using AI, you will be left behind. AI is imperative to the way that we do business. But it's up to us to determine the nuances of that. We get to decide what value it should bring. AI was created by and will continue to be shaped by humans. Every choice we make about the way we use AI, how we implement it, what we expect from it, whether we can trust it, all of those things are going to impact our lives moving forward. Now, AI helps us create the blueprint, but we are the ones that get to build the building. Okay, I lead the platform engineering teams at SAS. Now, if you are unfamiliar with our company, I'm going to spend just a few moments and introduce you to us, give you a little bit of background. SAS is based in Cary, North Carolina. And for the last 50 years, yes, you heard that right, the last 50 years, we have led the way in data and analytics. And we're now doing the same thing with AI. And Raj, wherever he is in the room, Raj likes to refer to SAS as the OG of AI. And he's not wrong. Simply put though, at SAS, we just create technology that helps businesses be more productive and to make strategic decisions when those decisions matter most. And we're one of the largest privately held software companies in the world. And even though our marketing department, they hate it when I say what I'm about to say, they've told me to stop saying it, but I just keep saying it. I often tell people that we are probably the largest software company that you have never heard of before. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that we're part of the very fabric of society. You've probably interacted with SaaS software today already and you just didn't even know it. We work with healthcare organizations to improve patient care. We work with financial institutions to help prevent fraud. We work with retail organizations to help improve the customer experience. And I could just keep going on and on and on, listing examples. And it's an exciting time to be at SAS. With advances like generative or agentic AI and even quantum AI, we're just entering into this era of unprecedented productivity and discovery. And my division at SAS is responsible for creating a lot of the new products that are coming out of R&D right now. And so I kind of get this interesting front row seat to some pretty amazing technology and some amazing innovation. We're going to show you some of it here in a little bit. And the pace of innovation inside of SAS, I feel like, is just remarkable right now. But so is the pace of innovation just everywhere. I mean, I'm sure you all feel that yourselves. We have to all, it feels like, maintain this incredible level of intensity so that we can outpace the innovation that AI is bringing as it becomes parts of our lives and our businesses. Now, I often tell my teams at SAS that in the very near future, they'll be competing with companies that they don't even know that they exist right now, because they don't exist right now. Our industry is changing dramatically because AI is lowering the friction for non-technical people to create very technical products. Some have called AI, or this wave of AI, the next industrial revolution. And I actually think that there's a lot of truth to that. It does have the ability to transform the way that we work. It's asking us to rethink how we operate on what feels like almost a daily basis right now. And it's helping us speed up and work faster. And it's helping us solve problems that we previously thought were unsolvable. Now, in a few minutes, as I promised, I'm going to show you some cool ways that we're using AI at SAS, some cool things that we're doing with AI. But before I get much further into this talk, I want to just kind of put all of my cards on the table. And I want to tell you that I am very much on the positive side of just thinking about AI. I am not one of those people that thinks that AI spells the end of the workforce as we know it. Instead, I think about it as far as just unlocking an incredible wave of productivity. And at SAS, when we think about productivity, we kind of think about that from two perspectives. We think about that as how is it unlocking productivity internally as we build products for our customers, but we also think about how are we putting capabilities into our products that we sell to our customers to also make them more productive with AI. But what all of us at a conference like this, as we're thinking about AI, as we're thinking about it being an imperative, what we all need to start asking is, where does all this productivity get us? How do we actually benefit from the AI that we're trying to deliver? Now, there was a recent study, some of you are probably familiar with this study, but there's a recent study from MIT that's caused a lot of discussion and debate in the software world because it found that 95% of corporate Gen AI investments have delivered no measurable return on investment. Let me say that one more time. 95% of Gen AI investments have delivered no measurable return on investment. Let that just sink in for a moment. That means that most businesses that have tried to implement AI into their processes did not see a financial impact from those decisions. Now, a big part of the problem, according to the study, wasn't that the AI models that they were trying to use were faulty in some way. Instead, it was more about the integration of the output of those AI models back into the rest of the business processes. That's the part that was flawed. And I have to admit, when I actually read about this study and all the, all the folks that were on either side of the argument of this study, when I read about it, though, I wasn't really surprised. And the reason I wasn't surprised is over the course of about the last year, I have met with a number of customers. In fact, I was thinking about this as I was preparing for this talk. One of the last times I was in New York was to meet with a customer to have this exact conversation. And these conversations with these customers have gone kind of along these lines. They'll say, Jared, we have built so many demos. We have so many proof of concepts or POCs. My POCs have POCs. But we're really struggling to just translate that into any kind of business value. We're struggling to get these investments into production. We're struggling to justify these investments with any kind of ROI. Some of you in this room might find yourself in a similar situation right now. Now, before we get too worked up about this, I should point out that rightly so, a number of people have poked holes in this study. But I hope we can all agree that 95% is a significant enough number that we should probably pause and think about it and pay attention a little bit. Now, instead of just implementing AI because you showed up in this room at NASDAQ on a lovely afternoon in New York and some guy from North Carolina told you that AI was imperative, instead of doing that, we all should just stop and think, like, what is the value that we're actually trying to deliver with the AI investments that we're making into our enterprises right now? At SAS, we actually recently commissioned our own study jointly with IDC that showed that the companies that actually got the most ROI from their AI investments were the companies that were able to connect those AI investments more to their actual strategic goals as a company. The real value came from reimagining their processes and things inside of their organizations that were connected to those strategic goals. Things like improving customer experience or boosting resilience. It wasn't just about trimming budgets for the sake of efficiency. Now, our Chief Technology Officer at SAS, Brian Harris, likes to look at AI through 3 different categories of ROI: personal, business, or personal process, and business. And personal ROI is what most all of us in this room are having an experience with right now. So let's start there. So I think this has already happened today, but quick show of hands. How many of you use some type of AI in your daily life, like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, right? M365 Copilot or some other Copilot, right? Yeah, I mean, everybody raises their hands. I mean, for most of us, we actually right now can't imagine life without these tools at this point. We use them at home, and you're using them at work as well. So that's personal ROI. That's the easiest one to kind of get your head around. But process ROI is a bit trickier. So I just mentioned that we're getting all these personal returns in our daily lives as we are, but how do those personal returns start to benefit the companies that we work for, the jobs that we do? How does our personal ROI start to translate into processes inside of our companies that deliver actual real process ROI? Those are the types of things that the MIT study is pointing out that we haven't quite figured out yet. That brings us to business ROI. So think about what's going to happen as your business processes do start to change and evolve around AI. What metrics are you going to be looking at that are going to help you recognize that change? If our processes don't bring about actual change in our businesses, if our processes and businesses don't change such we actually deliver real ROI, what are we really doing anyway? We have to think about these things. We need to understand that even though AI is an imperative, so is the intentional implementation of AI. Okay, a few minutes ago, I promised to show you some cool things that we're doing at SAS with AI and our technology. So let's just jump into a quick demo. All right, this is SAS Viya Copilot inside of Visual Analytics. Visual Analytics is our data exploration and reporting tool. And typically in Visual Analytics, you would actually go and you'd click some buttons and you would load data. But here I'm just going to ask the data. I'm going to tell the Copilot I'm interested in some mail order data. Now behind the scenes, Visual Analytics is connected to all of our data management software tools like Information Catalog. And so it's able to take that natural language statement and realize that, okay, I've got a data set, mail order data. It's just going to load it up right here. Okay, so we're ready to go. Okay, the Copilot, though, comes with a bunch of prompts that are just loaded to help me accelerate kind of my interactions here. But we're just going to, for the sake of this conference, we are going to jump into the deep end of the pool. We're just going to put this crazy prompt up there. We want some meaningful and descriptive visuals. We want, fancy, snappy titles. We actually want it to communicate something. We want to put some, some footers. We want, these nice graphics. And you can see that as a Copilot is interacting with this prompt, it's building this report automatically. So I've got, these charts, and it's going to come back with this summary of what it's done. So I've got a bar chart, I got a line chart, I got a pie chart. All right, this is awesome, right? I'm just having these natural language interactions. I'm building this report just kind of on the fly. Okay, but maybe I don't like some of the visuals going on. I think that line chart's a little too busy. I could simplify it if we just focus on like month and year. So I can tell the Copilot to do that. Visual just changes automatically. Maybe I've got a designer's eye. I don't like this pie chart as much. So I wanted to let's actually just, use some just blue tones. Maybe we want to actually bring those category labels up into the pie chart. Okay, awesome. So we've got We simplified our line chart. We got our pie chart improving here. Every time the Copilot's coming back telling me what it's done. Now, this is great. But up to this point, I've just been dictating things to the Copilot, telling it I wanted mail order data, telling it I wanted all these visuals, make these changes. But what if the Copilot could actually interrogate, read what's going on in this report and bring insights back to me? I mean, maybe it can do that. Can it do that? I'm really glad you asked, because the answer is yes, it can do that. So we're going to ask it to go look at that line chart, and it's going to go and it's going to do some analysis, and it's going to tell us, oh, we've actually got some seasonality in the data. Things start to rise in the late spring and early summer with this peak in July. All of that just kind of looking at the data. Now, I think this is great as a report designer, but I really want consumers of this report to get that insight. So I'm going to say, I would like to add a text visual just into my report and just add that exact summary that you just gave me. Just drop it right there. And it's going to go and do that. It's going to add that text summary right there in the report. Now, I'm thinking, okay, this is great. I got this nice text summary, but man, wouldn't it be awesome if I could add a map? So we're going to ask the Copilot to add a map. Now, in order to add a map, the Copilot's going to have to make some assumptions about the data in order to connect that all back to zip code and give us a nice interactive map. So it's going to come back, it's going to check its assumption. I'm going to say, yeah, that's great. Let's go with the map. It's going to drop the map right there in the report. And you're going to see, you can get this map. I've got my sales data oriented with zip code. The map is interactive. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. All right, we're just going crazy here. This report just keeps evolving. And every time, Copilot's coming back telling me what it's done. Okay, awesome, right? I mean, I could stop here, but why would we do that? Where would be the fun in that? So, I mean, maybe we want a butterfly chart. I mean, didn't you guys dream about butterfly charts last night? You want a butterfly chart? All right, so we're going to preview the butterfly chart here instead of actually putting in the report. But, oh man, that looks great. So let's just take that, let's drag it and drop it in there. But if you've used a reporting tool like Visual Analytics, though, one of the coolest things about these tools are the interactivity, right? Like being able to actually click on one visual and have it change something else in the report. Well, we can't yet do that, right? I mean, I'm going to go over here. We're going to click on these product types, and nothing's going to happen. Well, that's no fun. Let's actually see if the Copilot, let's just say, hey, can you make all the visuals in this dashboard interactive? Copilot's going to say, sure, yeah, I'm going to add some interactions for you. And it's go behind the scenes. It's going to start wiring things up, and I'm going to be able to go over there to those product types, and I'm going to be able to start selecting things, and I'm going to see other charts start to change. So, okay. Bam, just like that. All right. Awesome stuff, right? Nothing all the way to a report. Now, why did I show you all that? Hopefully you see that examples like this are how we're going to start to chip away at that process in business ROI. As we embed AI into our jobs and make our lives, our jobs more productive, we will start to deliver and impact that business ROI. This is where we are headed. People are just going to expect that their enterprise tools will provide this type of interaction, the same type of benefit. They'll expect the same type of benefit in their enterprise tools that they're getting from these tools in their personal lives. Eventually, Copilots are just going to be table stakes. Every enterprise app that you use will have them. That is the future that we're heading towards. But it's not going to stop there, because soon they're also going to be agents throughout the enterprise. How many times we should have had a counter of how many times did we say the word agent today? A drinking game, exactly. So, but agents are interesting because they're going to have these headless, I'm going to come back to that word in a moment. They're going to have these headless interactions with applications and tools behind the scenes, doing work for us, doing work with us. So let me just show you kind of an example of that type of interaction in the context of our applications. Again, it's just an example. This would, I'm sure, translate to other applications and things that you use in your enterprise. Now at SAS, our core value proposition of SAS Viya is what we call the analytics lifecycle. So you start with data, you prepare that data, you work on that data, and you do some kind of ETL process, you do some exploration, all with the goal of building models. Once we've got models, we want to deploy them out into the enterprise, and we want those models to actually deliver insights back to us. This is the analytics lifecycle. This is kind of what we wake up and do every day. All right, so here though are 3 example applications from SAS Viya kind of across that life cycle. So I've got SAS Studio where I can do all that data preparation, ETL. I've got Model Studio where I can build and train models. I've got a tool like Intelligent Decisioning where I can embed those models into some sort of decisioning flow. All right, so as I mentioned, all of these tools in the future, they're just going to have copilots. But those are users interacting with the copilots inside of those rich user interfaces. Now, often when we talk about this life cycle in our example applications, we'll talk about like, okay, the goal is to get a model out into the enterprise making decisions. But we know that models occasionally degrade. Their performance degrades because the world changes, data change, right? Okay, but does a human always in the future have to intervene when a model degrades? Well, maybe not. I mean, maybe in the future, we've got tools loaded into things like Model Context Protocol, MCP sitting behind the scenes so that agents can actually interact with all the capability that sits behind these tools and go and retrain a model for us, redeploy that model, all without a human having to be involved. As we move beyond copilots that are enabling personal productivity into agents monitoring business processes, you can start to see how we enable the future, how we start to deliver things like process and business ROI. But I've been talking about the imperative of AI. There's another imperative sitting behind all of this, and that's that you should not go it alone. I want you to consider this quote from Fortune when they were talking about that MIT study that I mentioned earlier. How companies adopt AI is crucial. Purchasing AI tools from specialized vendors and building partnerships succeeds about 67% of the time, while internal builds succeed only 1/3 as often. Now, since I'm a technology guy, I'm not up here as a sales guy, I'm just going to say this simply. If your organization is not an expert in AI, maybe you should think about working with somebody that is. You're going to get a lot more value from your AI implementation if you do. And hopefully you'll be able to avoid being a future statistic in a future MIT study. Now, I can't advocate for the value of partnerships without obviously mentioning the incredible partnership that SAS has with SingleStore. You'll have to trust me. I'm not saying this just because Raj is in the room somewhere, but it's true. When you combine the strengths of SAS Viya, which is our cloud-native platform for analytics and AI, when you combine that with SingleStore's high-performance cloud-native database, that combination, we just know, puts us way ahead of the game when it comes to enabling these kind of next-generation analytic and AI architectures. All right, we're going to shift gears here. How many of you in the room play Fortnite? Or you have kids, maybe, that play Fortnite? I see some hands going up. All right, so in addition to the SingleStore partnership, I'm going to talk about another fun partnership. SAS is also partnering with Epic Games, which, if you didn't know, by the way, is also headquartered in Cary, North Carolina. Fortnite, though, has 500 million users, 45 million daily active players. Those numbers are just astounding, right? And if you haven't played Fortnite or you haven't played a video game recently, you need to know that these video games are these incredibly immersive environments. These environments promote tons of teamwork and collaboration, and they demand just kind of decision-making in very, very data-rich environments. Now, as we were thinking about this reality, the reality that the workplace of the future, the workforce of the future, is going to come in expecting these types of interactions with their future tools in the enterprise, we started thinking about like, okay, well, maybe we should think about merging the world of gaming engines with the world of enterprise AI and analytics. And so that's how we came up with this partnership. And this is the reason I wanted to put this in the presentation is I wanted to kind of push you to think that and to know that AI and thinking about your AI implementations as an imperative is more than just natural language chat. It's also thinking about the worlds of synthetic data generation, the worlds of digital twins. Those are also big things happening right now. So as we work together, we actually combined Epic's Unreal Engine with our world-class AI to simulate real-world environments and to generate tons of synthetic data and to deliver some pretty incredible insights. Now, as we were working on digital twins together, we knew that these digital twins had to just look flawless. They had to look amazing. And thankfully, Unreal Engine delivers just high quality, high fidelity, photorealistic graphics It's got advanced physics simulations, and it's able to render just dynamic environments in real time. Now, we knew also, though, if these digital twins were going to be successful in the enterprise, they had to actually be rooted in real-world data. That's where SAS and SAS comes in. We're able to actually plug into the gaming engine through their plug-in architecture, and we're able to run AI simulations on the side and put insights directly into the game engine. All right, we actually pioneered all of this innovation already with Georgia Pacific. Georgia Pacific is a global leader in paper manufacturing, and they've actually wanted to optimize their manufacturing plants for efficiencies and employee safety. We're going to come back to that in a second. Now, you need to know today's manufacturing plants are these incredibly elaborate and complex environments. They've got things like autonomous guided vehicles, which is a fancy name for a robotic forklift, and people. These robotic forklifts and people they coexist together in these plants. And unfortunately, when things go wrong, they go wrong kind of in crazy ways, and it's really, really expensive. And unfortunately, sometimes people can get hurt. Now, we wanted to look at three things with Georgia Pacific and with Epic Games in Georgia Pacific's Savannah River Mills facility. And we wanted to look at their routing strategies throughout the plant. We wanted to look at how they would mitigate unforeseen circumstances that might happen along those paths, those routing strategies. And we wanted to look at how do we optimize the number of autonomous guided vehicles. Now, this is not a small problem. All right, so this facility is over 400 meters long, which is bigger than 4 soccer fields. So how do we approach this together? Well, we actually used SAS and we analyzed all their current pathing strategies. We analyzed all the scheduling of their current AGV fleet, and we optimized all those routes and all those schedules with tons of different constraints. But here's the kicker. We did all of that, and we tested all of it without doing anything in the real world. That's where the gaming engine comes in. So let's actually take a look at this together. What you're seeing here is the Savannah River Mill facility, beautifully rendered in Unreal Engine. We used the Epic's photogrammetry software. We scanned every object in the facility, and we generated a photorealistic digital twin. Now, the scene is truly dynamic. You see shadows are casting properly. You've got light reflecting off of surfaces. We're even going to see this autonomous guided vehicle. It's going to jump in the scene here as well. Now, behind the scenes, we actually built this facility editor so that plant managers just using an interface like this could actually do what-if simulations. And so they can start looking at their current pathing strategies. They can actually start, modifying the paths for these autonomous guided vehicles. So you can see I can just come down here, I can start to drag, create a different path or change the path. Okay, but imagine being a plant manager, you've got this type of interface, and you can start to kind of see that interface alongside of the actual simulation in Unreal. Those things are changing together. They're kind of linked. So you can start to understand the complexity of this environment. In this case, you've got all these vehicles that are traveling this path. And we're thinking, because we're the smart plant manager, me, like, man, I'm going to make this faster. I'm going to put some more of these vehicles out there. Surely that'll improve the process, right? So I'm just going to drag these vehicles. I can put them out on the path. I can change the path. That seems like a natural step to improve the efficiencies, is just add AGVs, right? Well, I can see, though, as I do this, that it actually, as I'm looking at the simulation in Unreal, I can see that those AGVs start to bunch up. I've got a traffic jam that's actually occurring. Now, the software is actually going to see this for me as well, and it's going to flag for me, oh, okay, you've got an issue. And here, just in this facility editor, I can click on that issue. I don't have to go manually run all these different fleet sizes myself and try this one by one by one. We can just have the optimization run behind the scenes. And the optimization is to improve mission time. So we don't have to do this manually. It's just going to run. It's going to come back, and it's going to tell us what the actual optimal size of the AG fleet is. So actually, to reduce or improve mission time by 8%, we actually need to decrease the number of AGVs. So it turns out in the Savannah River Mill facility, the number of optimal AGVs is 47. So now, why am I showing you this? Thinking about AI as an imperative. We believe that things like this is the future of manufacturing operations. But let's shift to another thing you can do with this innovation, and that's improving employee safety. According to US labor statistics, a worker dies every 90 minutes all across manufacturing of workplace injuries. And unfortunately, today, our existing computer vision models for safety can only improve the rate of those actual workplace injuries happening. So to build better models and prevent future injuries, we actually need accurate synthetic data. We need accurate synthetic simulated video feeds of workplace injuries. So with Unreal Engine, we can add digital humans to this river mill facility, all working around a conveyor belt. And then the plant managers can test what-if scenarios regarding those employees. All of this behavior that you see that we're observing can be labeled as unsafe. We can change the conditions like camera angles, we can change the lighting, we can change the type of body types of the employees, we can change the type of protective equipment that they've got, all just testing different scenarios. And all of this is building up a rich data set, a synthetic data set that can be used to actually improve real computer vision models for improving employee safety. And we're not limited by observing those injuries in real life. Okay, now, of course, manufacturing is just one industry where we believe things like this are gonna make a significant impact. But imagine the potential of all of us, not only just improving business ROI, but imagine the investments that we're making in this room together and in your companies and in your enterprises. Imagine how we're gonna improve and change and protect human lives. Now, I started out by saying that AI is changing the way that we do business. And there's no question that we're never gonna go back to the way we worked just a couple of years ago. We now have large language models. We've got these amazing things like synthetic data generation and digital twins. And all of these things are ushering us into a new generation of working better and faster. We should all embrace this ability to be more productive and to deliver more value to our customers and to the world, and everyone in this room can help lead the way by adopting AI into your business processes. But I don't want you to just simply walk this road to be so efficient that you lose your humanity at the same time. AI is an imperative, but so is being human. We can't let AI get in the way of how we connect, or the way we think, or the way that we create together. We are the architects of how we want to see the world evolve. AI might change the way we work, but it's up to us to shape how we want that to happen. Thank you. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon.